I want everyone here to give it up for Carrot Top.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Vegas
you guys are
legend.
awesome.
Good
to see you, man.
Just all-around legend.
Good
Dude,
to
generations of entertainment, years and years.
You know,
dude, you were making me laugh as a little boy, like on late night. Like, dude, were you on Carson, bro?
I was right before. So right, like the month after he left, I was on. So
yeah, man. Like,
something,
I remember, like, just
I was
a
at
little
Jack
kid.
Parr. That's how long ago it was.
How crazy is that?
You know, what's interesting is last night you were also hanging out at opening night.
Yes.
You are a guy that can't walk 10 feet without someone being like, Carrot Top.
Yeah,
is that your life?
Well, I say that in a lineup, it's not good though. So
it was him.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun in certain times like that. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. Yeah, I definitely stand out like it's not easy to blend in, but that's what's great about Vegas and this. I've been here for so long and everyone's let me do my thing.
You're like the unofficial mayor of Vegas. Yeah, like
right.
You've been here forever.
I've been here 29 years.
Again, we saw him last night at opening night, just doing his thing. We didn't want to bother him, but we did bother your buddy Craig Gass. So yeah, we're old pals with him. What were you doing there last night?
We were trying to get questions to the players, and we got some great ones.
Oh, okay.
I asked the coach if there was a play the Raiders had called Carrot Top. It was an actual play.
Yeah.
And if you watch the game, you hear him going Carrot Top, Carrot Top, Carrot Top, Carrot Top. So I said, would it be possible maybe that you would put the Carrot Top play in your play call thing? And he said, possibly.
Was it a fun night for you, man?
It was a great night. It was beyond. It was beyond.
Yeah, it's huge, right? To have the Super
It
Bowl
was
in your
so many people
backyard.
there too. It was something we've all been waiting for forever, and to have it here hosting at this beautiful stadium, and it was beautiful.
I mean, Carrot Top, to go back to what I said a second ago, since you're such a recognizable guy, when you're walking around there, you can't help but probably catch the eye of like one of these star players being like, "Oh, it's Carrot Top."
Well,
like Brock Purdy or Mahomes is probably
We got some of that on tape. So what was worrisome and also fun at the same time, that was our gig. So we went up to each podium and we said, Greg would say, "Do you know who this is?" And that's the worst thing you could do to somebody, right? So I'm just terrified. So he says to Kelsey, "Hey, Kelsey, do you know who this guy is?" And he's like, "Carrot Top, my baby." So I was like, it was like pressure went off. And then we got to Coach Reed. He was like, "Carrot Top, what have you done to your hair?"
But dude,
you look like you play for me, So
I'm assuming there's a humble side to Carrot Top. You've been doing this forever, but like, aren't you amazed if people don't recognize you? Like Andrew Dice Clay, you've seen his bit on social media. And when people don't recognize who he is, I'm like, how is that possible?
Especially if you go up to legends, so just take the picture, okay?
Take the picture. You live under a rock? How do you not know Carrot Top? It's so weird.
Well, I saw one of our other comedian friends was there last night, Bert Kreischer.
I talked to Bert.
And Bert's a great guy.
He was great.
And the guy he was with was like, Bert, I mean, with your shirt on, maybe someone might be, but if he had his shirt off, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's great.
Exactly.
Thank God I went with my shirt on and my my hair out, my shirt on. But yeah, Bert's a good guy, funny guy.
Carrot Top here on the COVINO Rich Show. I do want to ask you a few questions, but I also want to tell you a quick story and thank you because again, we're not as recognizable as you are, but you've been on our show in the past. And actually, the one time I got a little screenshot here for you. This was on Sirius XM back in the day, right?
Oh my gosh!
Now
I was in New York, right? Yeah.
I wasn't in studio, so there you are grabbing my crotch, my cardboard cutout crotch right there, right?
I remember. Yes, I remember. That's so weird.
You really do?
No, I remember
Sirius XM?
I remember you not being there, and I remember not grabbing your crotch. I'm sorry about that.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But
here's what's cool
there's a
about
story
it.
that goes along with this.
Now, you were so cool. We were still vibing, even though I wasn't in studio. You invited us to a show in Vegas, man, and we didn't know what to expect.
Right.
So here we go. We roll up, and we're there. And, dude, you were cool enough to shout us out in the middle of that show. And I got to tell you, it made us feel so cool, dude, right? Like, until this day I talk about that.
Until that day, people go, what should I do in Vegas? Because I remember at the time, you and Chris Angel were performing at the same venue hotel.
Right.
And I remember being like, no. As much as Chris Angel is probably cool, I'm like, you don't get it. We saw both shows. Carrot Top.
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy
and Chris
brings
didn't announce you probably. See, I announced you.
Yeah. I was like, shouted us out.
Shout out.
Welcomed us at the end of the show. We thanked you, talked. I finally got to meet you and everything. But I got to tell you, it was an awesome move. Thank you again. That was a long time ago.
It was a
long
time ago.
You've been doing this so long, man. Do you still have fun? Because you
Absolutely.
got to put your 100%, right? New audience all the time. So what's your mindset?
No, it's unbelievable. That's the best part about it. Is every night's a new audience, and I get to come up with new jokes. I mean, that's what's great about you having the luxury of being a comic. You not stuck in a structured show where you can't do anything. So I can do talk about the Super Bowl, they ask who's going to win. I say red. Whoever did red, I made red. I made red. No one had red. I'm the only one that ever had red.
Red wins.
Red wins.
But Carrot Top, I got to say, it's fascinating because people might say, you see a comic that does a residency that's been somewhere for a while.
Right.
Maybe they're hung up on jokes. That's like, that's a dated joke.
Right.
I'm fascinated by the couple times I've seen you. You're always topical, which can't be easy when you're doing a show where a residency, you're there day in and day out. Like, I remember thinking, this guy's doing material based on stuff that happened like a week ago in the news. Like, that's not easy.
Sometimes even a day of. Day of.
Got to keep it fresh, huh?
Yeah,
Is that a struggle?
No, I mean it would be normally. I think that's what's funny. I don't be a comic writer, a writer, in a sense. They always say writer's block, and I said, I think that's one thing I've never done is force myself to write. I just kind of go with the moment, and something's going to come about. If I think about trying to write a joke, they come like this. I walk in here and they said. How many stadiums going to hold 70,000 people? I said, well, they're going to get 70,000 people in that stadium and only have one usher. That's going to be hard.
That is.
So that's how you kind of break it down.
That's so stupid.
Right. That's exactly how stupid.
I love that, though. Is there a joke, though, that you've had for a long-ass time? Like one that, people love it, it's a hit. And
you can't take it out of the rotation?
Yeah, I mean, me looking like the Wendy's girl, that's always been
You're still rocking that one?
Still rocking it once in a while. There's
love
still
it.
two you just can't get rid of. It's funny.
Now, we all know Carrot Top, the comedian. Do you have a sports team?
Yes, I do. It's in football. I do the Dolphins.
Okay, Dolphins. And what kind of were you into sports as a kid, or did you suck at sports and then realize I better get into comedy or something?
Well, I suck at sports.
You did.
I mean, I played. But you know what?
When did you realize?
But
Tell us.
No, I didn't suck. I was actually always kind of good at everything. Like I could play tennis. I could kind of play golf. I could kind of. I wasn't really. I was on the swim team, and I did suck at. So I got out of swimming. I don't know how to breathe underwater, breathing in water, and then I wrestled, and that's why I started working out. So I got into wrestling, and so I was always athletic, but I did realize. I think comedy was. I think I was 5 or 6 years old. I wanted to be a comedian. So
you knew right then and there.
I would watch George Carlin and Richard Pryor and even on the Tonight shows, and then I said that's what I want to do, not knowing I could do it. That's what I wish I could do. So.
Hey, speaking of, you just mentioned George Carlin, who's in the news recently with that whole AI bit. What do you think about people using AI to recreate these stand-up routines that never really existed?
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, right?
It's kind of weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's going to take on a whole different. I mean, seriously, years from now, we're all going to
AI Carrot Top in 50 years.
My friend the other day already did it. He was on his phone. We were at lunch. And he said, "Carrot Top, juggling." Watermelons in a cornfield in Nebraska, and sure enough, there's Carrot Top juggling watermelons in a cornfield.
Wow!
So yeah,
you got to sell your AI your hologram rights for the future.
I know, and my AI guy doesn't look so good. I mean, it's always jacked though. It's always like me, but like really big arms. Like my arms aren't that big.
Hey, dude, health is a priority for you.
Absolutely.
You're in great shape. Do you feel like that's given you or helped with your longevity in this business?
Being
for real?
in shape absolutely. I mean, being in shape and trying to stay active. The show's you've seen it. It's very, very. I'm running around the whole time. I mean, you got to be limber and physical and in shape.
How often are you hitting
every day, probably.
Every day.
Yeah. Have you approached young comedian Matt Rife and said there's only room for one ripped?
Yes,
there's only room for one ripped comedian.
He's more ripped than me. He's also a lot younger. But yeah, we did have that conversation. I said, people are going to give you a lot of grief for being in shape because they give me grief for being in shape, which I find funny because it's like you can still be in shape and be whatever. You don't see a lawyer and go, you can't be a lawyer. You got arms. Why do you have arms? You're a lawyer. You can't look like that. Like lawyers have it.
Interestingly enough, though, there is a sense of comics traditionally love to make fun of themselves,
right.
and if you're an in-shape guy, it's sort of because people love to be like, I'm a fat guy.
Right.
When you're an in-shape guy, it's sort of.
Well, you got to find a way to be funny without doing Or it would be funny if you did. Hey, I'm a fat guy and he's not. That'd be funny. See? He comes out ripped. He's like, God, I tried to go to the beach and they tried to push me back in, like Louis' joke. And no, it's not funny.
Hey, dude, do you think about your path, right? And you have this residency. Like so many comics in the business would kill for a residency.
Right, sure.
Is there a part of you that would like to get back on the road and do that sort of thing, live that life, or are you like, you know what, man, this is it, and I hit the jackpot, and this is.
No, I love this job.
Yeah,
I mean, we do some road stuff coming up in.
Yeah,
in
I know,
March.
but you're not doing the standard comedian sort of routine.
No, absolutely not. You're doing the clubs and the thing.
But isn't that the? I mean, not to pat you on the back and stroke you too much, but isn't that the dream? Like, I mean,
right?
Like honestly, you
sure.
see all our other favorite comedians besides you are they're all over the place. Like you live here and you make probably a nice amount of money. money to be here. Like,
right, to be in one place, and you made it to the promised land. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would not give it up for the world, and I've been blessed that they let me do it. On the locals especially, letting me live here every year. And
Exactly.
all my billboards are also
Yeah.
I drove by your billboard every day.
Do you still get a kick out of seeing the billboard?
Yeah, everyone does. I mean,
I
of
love
course
that.
you do. You
I'm
have
happy to hear
Of
that.
course you do. You just go look, oh my God,
No,
oh my God, I have a show at the Luxor tonight.
that was you.
almost
I
forgot.
forgot.
We've been working together for almost 20 years,
Yeah.
and we were saying the other day, between all the fight nights and events, we've been to Vegas a hell of a lot together, and we've seen Vegas change so much over the last 20 years. You live here. I mean, and this place is, we're talking about not only just the sports franchises moving in, all the
Everything.
surrounding suburbs, everything.
All the growth. I mean, I do a joke in the show where you check in, your room's not ready. Are you cleaning it? No, we're building it right now. So it's literally that's what's happening. Yeah.
Hey, dude, I look. Forgive me. Maybe you already have this in the works. Carrot Top comedy legend, man. Everybody knows you've been doing it forever. Interest in, like, is there a new special? Like, I would love to see a Carrot Top get his props, pun intended,
Like
special,
that.
man.
Gets his
Like,
props, I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. You deserve your props.
We've been talking about doing something maybe for Netflix or something like that. We're in the works of talking about doing a special.
I like that. Gets his props.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Gets
that.
his
I like that.
I like gets his
No, but
props.
think
Yeah,
about
I
it.
like gets his
Think
props.
about how you're. I mean, you think about it all the time. You're Carrot Top, but your comedy translates to, like, even little kids will get a kick out of some of the stuff you do.
Well, especially if we went back and did some of the stuff that I was doing back in the 80s. I mean, that's really fun when I go back and I look at all the stuff that I was doing back then, and I was like, oh man, it was some good stuff back then. That's in the warehouse now.
I have a visual of your lips getting stuck in a vacuum tube or something like that.
Yeah. Yes.
You think about that a lot?
I remember as a kid just like laughing at that stuff.
Well, we got to go in about a minute or so. So, Carrot Top, where can people check you out? And again, this gets the Covino and Rich stamp of approval. We've been to Carrot Top shows.
Yeah, you've been, so you know, right.
And they are fantastic.
And
so
we
we're
got a
not
shout out.
we're not BSing you.
Yeah.
This is legit fantastic.
Thank you. You can check me out at carrottop.com and also on my Instagram's Carrot Top Live, and then go to luxor.com. Just look up Carrot. When you put Carrot in, it'll come up me. So it's good.
Well, continued success, man. Thanks for making time for us.
Yeah.
Man.
How do you feel about how do you feel about the Luxor being one big Dorito now?
Well, you know what's funny? Someone asked me that. I said, I flew in the other day. I flew in. I looked over. I said, you know what's fun about that marketing? It looks like a Dorito. So they did a great job with that campaign.
It looks
like a big
it
Dorito.
looks fantastic.
I said they're the keeper of the chips. I'm the keeper of the dip. So you might have
like
the
it.
chips, but you want the dip, you got to come to me.
Carrot Top, thank you so much
you
for being
much,
on the
very
show,
much.
man.
Thank you very
Absolutely
much.
great seeing you.